Hi guys! Today I am making my mum's birthday cake. Last year she had the ombre rosette cake, which you guys loved, but this year she wanted something a little bit more floral, and you guys have been requesting another flower wreath cake. So here it is. We have gorgeous closed and open peonies, beautiful large leaves. I hope that she loves it, and I hope that you guys do too. So let's get piping. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make these gorgeous flowers as well as those beautiful leaves. I'm starting out with a 7-inch round cake, which I have iced. It has 3 layers of cake, and then we have a beautiful sweet buttercream on top in a gorgeous eucalyptus shade. Now, lots of you already know how to get to this part, and if you don't, there is some links in the description box below to help you along the way. Now, to make the flowers, I've gone ahead and made 2 different shades of pink, just one darker than the other, and I've used Sugar Flare Claret and Dusty Pink Wine. And gee, what tip is it on the end? That's right, it's a 104. Such a surprise, I know. I love using the 104 tip. And I also have another 104 tip on my green, believe it or not, as well as a 125, which is basically just like a gigantic version of the 104. I've used a spruce green and a eucalyptus to create these shades. I really like how they're nice and muted and natural, and the look I'm going for mums is really sophisticated and elegant. So I've used all Sugar Flare colours because I find that they've got a real richness and a very authentic kind of shade to them. As always, I also have a flower nail, some little parchment squares, and a baking tray or a cookie sheet to place them onto so that I can pop them into the fridge. Now I'm just going to apply a little bit of our buttercream to our flower nail so that we can attach that parchment, and that way it won't go anywhere. Now I'm going to do a little wriggle up, not very high, and then start to fold over. And this is very much like, it's basically exactly the same as the center of the ranunculus. Then we're going to come back and do more, getting longer and longer, because you want to keep going over the top. You're not trying to build out, you're trying to build up only. Then still with our big part facing the bottom, we're going to come way up like this, and then do the odd little one. Come up and over, and you're really aiming for them to fall in. And that's your first row. Looks a little bit strange, but it's going to look gorgeous. Now we're going to do up and around like little rainbows, some overlapping the previous one by about 30% and some right next to each other. Now for our final row, we really want to curl our wrist back and have them flaring out. This time, none of them are overlapping each other. Some are very close to each other, some are a little bit further away. And then you have a look, and any that are really far separated from each other, you can come back and add just a tiny one underneath. Just like that. And then we carefully take it off our flower nail and pop it onto our cookie sheet. So remember, making sure that the biggest part is down. Do a little wriggle, and then come up and over. 4 on the first row, and then I like to do about 10 all up. And remember that you're concentrating on building up and not out at this stage. Switching to our lighter colour, we're going to do some really swoopy ones, some smaller ones, just like that. Then nice rainbows, and then our last row is really flaring out. Now we also want to make some buds to go with this, because the whole point of nature is that it's different varieties. Some flowers are bloomed and some are just starting. So we begin in the same way, except this time we're only going to do about 7 petals or so, maybe 8. and then stop. And then taking our lighter colour, we're going to do the same, building another row. Nothing like our bigger ones. We're just going to keep that going and keep it nice and closed up. Now for our leaves, we're going to go for the same style as one of the ones that we did in our 2-tier wedding cake flower one. And that's just to use a 104 tip, do a wriggle one way and wriggle back. It's that easy. Wriggle and back again. I also have my 125 tip so that I can make really nice big ones and get that variety. And allow these to sit in the fridge as well. So now that our flowers and our leaves have chilled in the fridge, it's time to start assembling this cake. To do that, I have taken a little bit of my cake colour into a piping bag, and I'm just going to pipe a little bit of an edge around the cake, like a bit of a mound to help us with that wreath shape. And then it's time to start placing our flowers on. First, I'm going to go for one of my larger ones. So taking my flower, unpeeling it from the parchment, and then just placing it gently on. Give a bit of a press down. And then leaving a bit of a space, I'm going to place on one of my smaller rose buds. You can always come back and add a bit more if you want to get a little bit more height or angle. And don't be afraid to move them around, but if they start to get too soft, go ahead and pop them back into the fridge for a little bit. Now once you're happy with all of your flowers, we're going to go ahead and place in those leaves. To do that, I'm going to place a little bit of the green and then slide the leaf in, just making sure it's attached. And you can always come back in and add a couple of leaves yourself. And the key here is to know when to stop. It's really hard with cake. Sometimes you just want to keep on adding and adding, but I think we've got just the right amount of leaves and I think it's looking just perfect. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I know that Mum's gonna love it and I hope that you guys do as well. I know you've been looking for another flower wreath cake and I thought that peonies would just be the perfect way to give you another flower using a 104 tip. I know, such a shocker, it's a 104 again. Do I own anything else? Not really. When it comes to flowers, the 104 is the go-to piping tip for me, obviously. So get yourself one of those and get piping.